How's it going, everybody? Nikki here, coming on still live, man. Yet again, I didn't even really say my name. I just said like Nikki. Yeah, man. So I'm just waiting for. So I can't even speak. I'm waiting for an admission for a gondola, and I've got to kill about like 40 minutes. Excuse me. So, thank you. You're not supposed to hold those in, so I have to let them out. Okay, it's not my rule, but. I got to kill like 40 minutes, so I just had some A&W, so that's why we're burping. And I was scrolling the Reddits, and I came across a conversation on r/Tinder that I'd like to read to you today. Now, this is going to be a pretty low-effort video. There'll be no visuals on screen because I'm just sitting in a car, obviously. But I wanted to just read it for you today. It is 5 pages, but it's very quick, and I'm sure we will also be quick. So without any further ado, let's just get into it, and I just want to share my thoughts. So the first page I'm gonna really rip through quickly, and then sorry, there's a bird there, and then we'll kind of go into the second page, and that's where we can actually discuss something. So yeah, woman responds. He just said something about the opening move on Bumble. If you don't know what that is, by the way, you can just kind of prompt something, and you'd be like, oh hey, like, you could just be like, I prefer the middle seat. Right, and someone could respond to that, and it like gives an opportunity for the guy to say something first. It's really what it's there for. So he did that. She says, "Hi, cutie." He goes, "Hey, up to anything fun tonight?" "Nope, I'm in bed." Next day, he goes, "Oh shoot, I went right to bed right after you there. What are you doing today? Anything fun?" She goes, "Nope, LOL, WBU. What about you?" He goes, "Yeah, I had a decently busy day. You're not down the shore or doing anything special for the last unofficial weekend of summer? ? So you're just trying to, and he's probing, right? He's probing, getting something going. She says, "No, lol, EU, like EU, like Easter umbrella." And he goes, "Really trying here," and her name, which you can kind of still see, by the way, even though it's blurred out. It's hard to have a conversation with 3-word responses. So, yeah, before we get to the second page, so, I've pretty much got a rule of thumb, and I think most people should kind of do this, honestly. If you ask 3 questions in a row, and you have not been asked a question back, I'm going to be honest, I don't really count, like, hey, how are you? Good, thank you, how are you? I don't really count that as a question. It is a question by definition, but you're not doing anything inquisitive, you're not, I'm starting that, and then you're not giving me anything, and I know what you're going to say. That's not the most interesting question. That's true. If I were to see someone down the street and I just walked by, and I'd do it, right? And I'm like, morning, right? How's it going, right? Enjoying the sun out there today, right? You just ask, hey, how's your weekend going, right? Those are normal conversations you would have with a stranger and with people right? Hey, how's your weekend going? George, haven't seen you, in a week. Good to see you, right? Good to see you, doing X, how's X, right? Those are things to do, right? So it just, if you haven't really got a question back within 3, you can probably just, people are just looking over at me, fuck them. You can probably just end it, I guess in this one it's not really the case of that, but like the 3-word responses, I think most people, and I mean like myself included, I think most people would probably interpret that as not showing interest, and I think that's a fair assessment. I really do. I have been in that situation more times than I can count, where, I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to get the ball rolling. And sure, like, not everyone is into texting, but you could say that. Yeah, you say, hey, listen, I'm sorry if I'm coming up a little dry there. I just kind of prefer face-to-face. It's or a call or something. So that's an option too, and it's obviously not discussed. So let's just move into it and see what we're saying here. She goes, "I asked, are you?" Like the letter R. Are you? He goes, "LOL, I'm supposed to understand that from no LOL EU." I didn't know that was what that meant either. I guess it was a typo, but I have no idea. "Yes, I've been busy enjoying the weather, spent time with some friends, visited my dad, did some cleaning around the house, and I'm sure more since there's still 2 days." So he's saying like what he's done. She's like, "Okay, damn, it was an error. It's not that deep." He goes, "You're right, but I'm used to words. It limits the confusion, and it's how most people converse. I can clearly see this isn't going anywhere, so best of luck to you." I think his response of like then listing out everything he's done might not. I don't really like. It doesn't seem like any point to do it. You could just not have said that and been like, "Yeah, that's fine," right? And just move on. You don't need to have. You could just be like, "Hey, listen, And he called it out. I think that's fair to do it. And she's like, well, I asked, are you? And it's like, I didn't even understand that, honestly, reading it. I don't know. Moving on. So she goes, oh my, what is happening? But okay, if you're not interested, I unfortunately can't force you to be. And he keeps going. I think you could have ended it there. So he responds back, goes, I am interested, but I can't do short, minimal responses. That's how you get to know someone. That's not how you get to know someone. You're replying with 3 words tell me that you're not serious about sharing towards me. Okay, we're just going to move on. I was simply just busy. Like, it's not that serious. I was giving my mom her medications last night, and I was exhausted, kind of crashed out. But she goes, but sorry to disappoint, I'm a great girl. You'd miss out. I completely understand, but you do see my perspective, how it would be. Seems from your responses that would kind of show me that you're uninterested, right? He goes, I don't know anything about you. Tell me so I can get to know you. And she goes, if I wasn't interested, I wouldn't even have messaged you. He just asks kind of a question kind of thing, and then she kind of starts to respond, and then at the end of it, she goes, when can I see you? And the conversation does not show anymore. We can just go over the fluff. So, yeah, I mean, I think there is a point to be like, well, why would I message you if I'm not interested? That's fair. But let's be honest, okay? I think we can be honest people here. Most women on dating apps have more options than men, right? For like options. And I mean that by like successful likes or matches, or conversations. There's a lot more of them, right? Now, not all of them are very good, right? That's part of the problem. That's part of the the issue. But they have more, right? I mean, I have like 1 like on Bumble, and I can't even get the match, right? Because that's a whole nother conversation. But it's just like, it's not allowing me to get the match because they want me to try to pay to unlock it, which is just going to be in like, a complete different province, and it's not going to work out, right? That's all I have. That's it. There's nothing. So I'm just saying, like, when people lose interest, and guys do it too, when guys and girls lose interest, that's a way of doing it. It's just like really minimal responses, not really giving them anything to work with. And then, again, like, they'll just stop trying. They'll just be like, okay, well, like, this is just going nowhere. I'm talking to a wall. I'm good. I think calling it out isn't necessarily a bad thing, because you could then determine, right, if she responds back and she's like, if she would have said in this case, listen, my bad, I kind of crashed out, that's why I didn't really even get back to you, whatever, I was busy. I don't mind even saying that. If we were like really texting, I would just be like, hey, listen, I'm out, I'll talk to you later, kind of thing, right? And just go do whatever you got to do, right? And again, and that's the case, that's what you have to take away from it, right? Is like having the conversation and finding that information out. Maybe I'm not a good texter. That's a good point for me to say it. Hey, Nick, you're giving me really not that much in response. Listen, hey, my bad. I didn't mean to come off like that. I am not much of a texter, right? I don't text, right? I don't like to text. And then we could have that discourse and have a conversation. That's a fine conversation to be had. So, I don't know. I just think it's interesting. I don't think it's going to pan out at all. I mean, just reading a Reddit post, that's all I have from Bumble. I don't think whatever situation they're going into is going to work, because you've already gone over a hurdle and it wasn't really ironed out. And the only point she started really typing out a response is when she got called out. So, and again, there could be so many things on with that I don't know, right? I'm just judging only off of what I have, which is just those photos. And that's where we're at. All right, I don't know. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to go sip some soda, kill some time. All right, peace.